What's up, y'all? Big Red here, coming at you another Fallout 76 video on the channel. Hope everybody's out there is thriving and surviving in the wasteland. Sorry it's been a minute, but I've been collecting a lot of footage to make this top 5 best vampire boss killing video. And don't worry, no vampires are hurt in the process. When you think about vampires, most people just think of just staying alive, like, oh, it's so cute, I got a vampire weapon. Oh, this keeps me alive. But in reality, if a vampire weapon, it should be, wow, it destroys everything. Now, from the first one, you wouldn't run from, but the second one, you would definitely run. And a vampire weapon should be powerful, even though in reality, it really is not. There's very few powerful vampire weapons in Fallout 76. I mean, they'll keep you alive, but there's only a few that are really, truly still boss killers. There's a couple requirements. One is you gotta have weapon speed. 2, your ammo capacity. If you have ammo, it has to be large enough to where your vampires don't affect your ammo capacity by adding it. 3, you gotta have either pinpointers or pounders if you're on melee, like auto melee. And for range, you gotta have pinpointers. So you do have to have that 4-star to get it over the top to truly make it that boss killing weapon. But it'll do more than just keep you alive, you'll thrive. Will it be the auto axe and its power, even though it's been debuffed and you see it shredding the Titan? Or will it be the Gatlin plasma with its new mods and ability to be able to shred through, and especially with unyielding armor, you can put your vampire zone, have unlimited AP, and be able to stay locked in vats and shred bosses in minutes with no problem and stay alive. Taking even a snake's poison on head on without an issue. Or will it be the plasma flamer? The Enclave does get a little bit of better damage, but it's very close. I mean, their damage numbers are not so far off. So I think overall, only like 16, 8 difference in both damage types. But the regular plasma flamer is very easier to mod. You can go from calibrated to prime, and the mods are so much easier to get. Although we might showcase the Enclave in comparison, because I had a better run with it, but it does shred Earl in like 3 minutes and 30 seconds, so it is very powerful. But before we get started in the top 3, we want to go over the runner-ups. And we're starting with the Holy Fire. And you're wondering where you get it for the Beast of Burden, a random drop in that area, the Sacramento Glades. We put it at number 5, not because of its lack of power, because it actually outperforms the number 4 against Earl, but because of its lack of range and being able to take on every boss, because they can't take on the snake, at least not on the console. Maybe PC you can, like, I don't think it'd be done. I don't know, maybe, I ain't gonna say it can't be, but it'd definitely be hard trying to spam enough coffee to fly around and use it on Mr. Snaky Poo. But for old Mr. Earl, it is a melter for a vampire. Remember, we don't have no stabilize, we're not in power armor, because in my opinion, you shouldn't be in power armor with a vampire weapon, because maybe against those snakes, this poison is that strong, but I mean, if you have a vampire's weapon, it really should be outside power armor. I mean, being outside power armor, it also utilizes these max AP builds where you have a lot vested into agility, and +2 agility on your armor pieces, and most of these builds they will have the +2 agility and will be unyielding with through hackers on the armor pieces with a full set of sawbones on them to more than keep you alive and thriving. But being outside power armor was getting your AP up into 700-800, and you're with Thirst Quencher, you're able to stay locked in vats, and being that you got a vampires, you don't have to even worry about getting hit. You just sit there and just melt Earl down. Now the Holy Fire, you see we're getting 700-800 damage, and you have to have the pinpointers, like I said, to bring the vampire weapon over the top to make it a boss killer. Now outside, if you don't have a pinpointer, this still be a great weapon to use in events and participate, but you're not going to be able to go take the boss on solo and before your liquor courage runs out. If you don't have that 4-star, unfortunately, you need that to make you go over the top. But still, we're going to get Earl in a 4-minute time without a bloodied as armor, with just a regular vampires, holy fire with the pinpointers though, and 4-minute time before liver courage runs out. That's pretty great these days. Any kill with Earl before liver courage runs out makes it a tier A weapon in my opinion. The drawbacks for the Holy Fire. One is, compared to the Enclave, it doesn't have as large of ammo capacity. You can make it have 200, so you do have to reload a little bit. So you're not immortal when you have a vampire weapon. Remember that. You can die. You get staggered, you're reloading, and he hits you, you're gonna die. So you do have to time your reload, and keep firing and keep them locked in on bats so you can keep your healing going so you stay alive. But you just do that by jumping around and keep an eye on your ammo when it runs out. But so that's one thing it has against it, but it still makes the top 5, even though it lacks as much ammo capacity as like a gatlin plasma or a gass minigun, which has a larger ammo capacity, 500, which more than keeps you alive because you're able to stay firing for longer. It definitely does make up for it, the damage it gets. The cool blue flames, it's like flame on. It is limited to range, so that is one drawback, and like I said, that you can't use it against the last boss, and that's the reason I knocked it down. And this list is not definitive, so you can post, let's be nice in the comments. I'm not saying it's exactly number 5. You can swap 4 or 5 out if you wanted to. It's not a big deal. This is really just the 5 best, in my opinion, weapons that you can have as the vampires and still be able to solo a boss and melt a boss down. There's plenty of decent vampire weapons out there that you can use, like Tesla rifle, like you can make an Elder's Mark a decent vampire's weapon, but I wouldn't take them up against a boss, and not a solo. But they'll get you by in regular play and regular events. But anyway, the Holy Fire, definitely, you see, is a beast of a weapon. It's going to melt Earl down right in the 4-minute mark without a problem. We stayed alive and thriving. Flame on, all hail the Holy Fire. Hats off to it for coming in number 5. If you haven't played with it, you need to get it, and you can make it a boss killing weapon. Alright, well, bear with me as I recorded and then I'm talking, and I usually don't do it that way. I usually record and talk. So anyway, let's get into number 4. Number 4 is the gass minigun prime with weapon speed, action points, and with a pinpointers on it. And the armor we're using is our Secret Service Unyielding with sawbones and with +2 endurance. Because I did find there are times where your like bullet shield don't trigger right, even with +2 agility, and sometimes you die even with your vampires. But it's not a lot, but it does happen. But I switched it over on the messing around with it. With my set, with my Secret Service, because I had +2 endurance on that set, and it seemed like it didn't happen really at all, and our AP was high enough to be able to get it to AP regen. So if I was doing the raids, I would say use +2 endurance and a +2 agility with your vampires. You'll have enough agility. Your agility be up in the over 700 is enough to get it to do the AP regen thing with Thirst Quencher. And yeah, so I showed a little bit of the build. We're gonna use it in Danger All. We're gonna get lower resistance down a little bit. The thing about the gass minigun, it does got great range. You can't use the Penta of the trial like you can against Earl with him, because you can get close enough to Earl or to maybe a Titan or another boss. But with the Snake, he's so high up, you got to use a standard barrel, and you can't use bullets that explode. You got to have enough weapon speed to survive its poison. You can't use bullets explode. You got to have that 114 weapon speed in order to stay alive. So that's definitely a requirement for this. The higher the weapon speed, the better you're going to stay alive, especially when this poison comes down. And this is what it is. But as you can see, we're shredding through him, and man, we're taking his poison head on like it is no problem. We're staying alive. We're at the 30-second mark. We got him about halfway. It's not outdoing the gatlin plasma, but it's not too far behind it. It is doing a really good job, and that's why this weapon comes in at number 4, because of its ability, what it can do against the newest boss, mini boss, whatever you want to call him, the raid boss, so Snaky Poo. What it is lacking in, though, is ammo efficiency. And the fact that there's no mods for it, you know, not like the Gatlin Plasma has that going for it. You can put extra crit damage, extra armor penetration, you can get weapon speed. It makes it fall behind the Gatlin Plasma. Now, we got a minute 21 seconds. We got the old Snaky Poo down. But against Earl, it's like a 5-minute time, and with Holy Fire is a 4-minute time. So it does get outperformed. Like I said, you can swap these back and forth. I put it at number 4 because of what it can do against the snake. But before we get carried away, you get it from the crater with your reputation maxed out with the raiders, or you can get it from Minerva if you get some modifications from the crater. But let's showcase it real quick against old Mr. Earl himself, against a target that's more tankier, it has higher resistance, or armor penetration is a lot more necessary. Definitely one thing, two positives about the Gauss minigun is that it has a high ammo capacity, 500, which allows you to stay locked in your target. As long as you're staying locked in, you're staying alive and thriving and doing damage, and you're healing yourself at the same time. Its damage is a little bit off from what we have with the Holy Fire. The Holy Fire is averaging like high 7s and 800 sometimes. This is averaging about 650. Occasionally you might get a 7, but its lower numbers are lower, and that's what it kind of throws it behind the Holy Fire. I think the time is going to be around 5:10. Holy Fire was like 4 minutes, but another positive for it is that it does have a great range, and it also does when you have the standard barrel. Whenever you have different modifications. Here we have the bullets explode on there instead of weapon speed, because we're able to use the penta barrel to get our weapon speed on there, because we're able to get close enough to Earl to utilize it, because it affects our range like 120. But against a snake, you can't do that. You have to use a standard because of the range or how high it is. We were able to do some different modifications with this gun to utilize it, maximize it for different bosses, different events, and that helps it come in at the number 4 spot where the Holy Fire can't. And even though it does get outperformed with Earl with the Holy Fire, it does outperform. Against a snake, it does be really competitive with the Gatlin Plasma. It doesn't outdo it, but 120 time against Snaky Poo is still really good, and that's what brings it in at number 4. It is still a beast of a weapon. So for all your Gauss minigun lovers, yes, you can use your Gauss minigun as a vampire boss killing weapon. It works really great with this max AP builds with unyielding armor, outside power armor. Remember, we don't got no armor penetration with stabilize. This is just the pure power of the Gauss minigun with the pinpointers on there. And vampires being able just to shred Earl and stay alive and thrive. The drawbacks, like I said, are it's not ammo efficient, and it don't have the modifications as the Gatlin Plasma with extra crit damage. If it did, it'd be a beast, but it don't. So you see, we're at 2.5 minutes, and so you can average about what we're going to get, about 5-minute time on Earl, which makes it fall behind the Gatlin Plasma to get a higher spot as a top vampire boss killing weapon. But it's still a beast of a weapon, and it is fun to play with and see those blue little lights light up and like a disco. And yeah, so that is the Gauss minigun with all its glory, shredding on Earl. And now we're going to get into the number 3 spot, and while we have it at the number 3 spot, it's going to be the Plasma Lamer. And the Enclave does get more damage, just a little bit, but they're very close. I mean, we're talking about it's only like 18 points overall, the damage difference, and that's not that much. But the Enclave or a Plasma Flamer with the pinpointers on there, it's going to get Earl in under 4 minutes. And that is why it ranks in at number 3. It is very, very ammo efficient, unlike number 4. You'll get so many plasma cartridges back after using your plasma flamer as you're using it. So it will feed itself, and you'll have a stockpile of ammo. Another positive, look at the damage we're getting. 1132, 1,000. I mean, we're getting 1,000 on the crits. The damage, that's a vampire. That's not a bloody. That's not an anti-armor. I mean, that is a vampire's weapon. You're just getting over 1,000 on the crits. It is melting Earl. Look, we're at the 1 minute mark, and Earl's about halfway down. That is insane. That's almost like not as good as old school, several updates ago, but it's right up there with it. I mean, to get Earl down in 3 minutes and 40 seconds with the vampire weapon these days, that puts it at a top tier list. And even though it can't be used against a snake because its lack of range, it can be used against every other boss. Now you have to get the Scorch Beast Queen to land, but it can be used effectively against her. It can be used effectively against the Titans, the Storm Goliaths. It can be effectively against the Titan. It is a very effective boss killing weapon, but it makes it fall short because of its range, not being able to use it against every boss. So that's why it puts it at number 3, but not because it has a lack of power, because it is a shredding machine. As a vampire's weapon, it'll more than just keep you alive and thrive. You will melt bosses down. And you don't have to have the Enclave. You can have the regular Plasma Flamer. It's easier to mod and easier to learn the mods. But if you get the Enclave and you get a Vampires and you get the right mods on it with the calibrated capacitor, you get the extra crit damage, then Forceful Stock for the durability, and put on the reflex sight for the AP cost and the flamer barrel, then you're going to have a beast. But even if you have the regular Plasma Flamer, you're still going to be able to do this type of damage. But over 1,000 on the crits, I mean, look, and it's keeping us alive. And with that max AP build where we'll lock it on VATS and be able to just shred Earl in pieces. Here we are coming up. It probably could have got a 3 minute time if I didn't get staggered as many times as I did, but it was right there at the 3 minute. I mean, some of that could have been me. I'd probably get a better time, but we still get him in 3 minutes and about 30 seconds. So still a great time these days. Definitely why it puts it at a number 3 spot as a top vampire boss killing weapon that will shred and keep you alive. Talking about keep you alive, but keeping you alive, let's just look a little bit. We want to do the whole fight. This is the last boss in nucleological warfare, the last robot standing. So you know how tanky they are when you get to the last one, and how hard it is to play outside power armor in this event, especially solo, with the electricity in the floor and his attacks. But the vampire plasma has no problem melting down this robot and keeping you alive and thriving at the same time, taking on all his energy attacks and all his mines. And with the max AP build up, AP regen to keep you locked in and to keep your damage flowing and your life a going without a problem. So it's not just a one-trick pony for old Mr. Earl. You can bring your vampire plasma against any boss that it can reach. Any boss that it can reach, it will melt. It just can't reach old Snaky Poo. And that's what brings it down to the number 3 spot and why it falls to the gatlin plasma and the auto axe. But not because of power, like I said, just because out of sure range. The negative things or if you have an enclave, is the mods. But if you're using a regular plasma flamer, the mods are not hard to get. Really, the most negative thing for the plasma flamer is its range. That's it. But if you have a vampires, you can afford to be up close and personal with your target, because the vampires with faster fire rate and weapon speed will be more than enough to keep you alive. You just have to dodge and weave and move, but you'll have enough, way more enough damage to melt bosses with vampires on this weapon. Here we are. We almost got that Goliath down, melted. Holy rusted metal, Batman. And there he goes. Which brings us in to get ready for the number 2 spot. As soon as he falls, and he is gone. So yes, all hell, the Plasma Flamer. Number 3, vampire boss killing weapon. Next up, and he's no introduction, is the meta of Fallout, along with the number 1. It is the Gatlin Plasma with its new mods. We are using a set of the unyielding armor with Secret Service with the +2 endurance. So I have that set modded because the snake gives us that little bit extra hit points in case bullet shield don't trigger. Instead of having +2 agility, but like I said, +2 agility works in every other situation. It don't work in this, but a little more consistent with the +2 endurance. Still our AP's high enough to get the AP regen, not need any coffee. This is really, to me, if you're gonna play with heavy guns outside power armor, to me, why not use the vampires? Because the AP regen, with the pinpointers on it, you're getting good damage and you're staying alive and doing more than just thriving and surviving. You're destroying bosses. So you can see I haven't really showcased a lot of builds. All the builds have been the same, the basic builds. Basic heavy gunner build, centered for bats, non-power warmer. All the buffs, like I said, all the buffs have been the same. Like I said, it hasn't been a build video. This is more of a showcase video. So y'all just bear with me. So, and here we go. The Gatlin Plasma with its mods, it's extra with the calibrated capacitor, it's extra crit damage with the stinging core for armor penetration, accelerated nozzle, you get weapon speed, and then you can have the crit damage on your second star. You know, it just puts it in a whole other class, and it shreds, especially the old Snakey Food, because his armor penetration is not that high. You can see we're getting like 23, 2100 on the crits, and that's just vampires. But once we get hit, we have taken one for the team going into effect, because we're on a team. Now we're getting 2900 on some of the crits. Almost 3000 with just the vampires. And we are shredding him and taking his poison head on. That is the true power of the vampire boss killing weapon. The Gatlin Plasma. And in positive, it has great range, great modification, great ammo capacity, over 500 ammo capacity, very ammo efficient. It is a beast of a weapon, and that is why it is the meta, and that is why it is the number 2 vampire boss killing weapon. And you can see we're going to get the Snakey Poo down in 1:05. 1:05. We got, it was like 1:21 with the Gauss minigun. So you can see the separation while Gauss is at number 4. And let's showcase a little bit real quick what it does against Earl. Before we go any further though with it, just in case you're a newer player and you don't know how to get the Gatlin Plasma, you get it from the White Springs bunker, but you got to complete the quest to be an Enclave General. But once you get that clearance, you go into the Enclave, you can go into the Armory, and you can buy weapons and plans. Go to the little purple warrior, it says Science Military Wing. Go up to the command bridge. Might slow-mo it, fast forward it for time's sake. Get to the Modus terminal, and there you can get the Gatlin Plasma. And you can also get the Plasma Pistol, which you turn into a Plasma Flamer. You can usually buy the plans for either one of them. Sometimes there might not be one plan there. Sometimes they're just be able to buy the weapon, but you definitely can get it there. Okay, going right into the battle with Earl. You see, it's the same weapon. Vampires, weapon speed. I mean, not weapon speed. Vampires, crit damage, but with minus action point cost. The pinpointers, modded with accelerated nozzle and stinging core, and calibrated capacitor for extra crit damage. And any weapon that you can get Earl in 5 minutes is a decent. It's tier B. I say when you get something in 4 minutes, man, you're definitely in the top tier of weapons. If you can get a 4-minute kill, if you get under 4 minutes, that puts you in like tier S or top of the top. You know, the cream of the crop. And the Gatlin Plasma, with its mods and with the max AP build, being able to have that +2 agility with unyielding armor, and with a few food buffs, getting your AP up super high, and the thirst quencher added into the build, the combination of all those things allows you can see we're not spamming no coffee. I'm on console, so I don't have no hotkey, and we're able to stay advanced, locked in. We're getting over 1,000 on some of those crits, 1,100 on some of them, 1,030 on a lot of them. We did utilize those 1,883, 1,183. We did utilize Revenant on all the runs to maximize our damage, to try to get the best time we could. It is shredding Earl in pieces. Like, look. Here we are. We're about halfway. Let's see. We're in kill these stupid Wendigos. That's the only negative thing. Almost halfway, like 1:25. I mean, we're gonna get him in under 4 minutes with this Gatlin Plasma, Vampire Gatlin Plasma, and that's what brings it in ahead of the Gauss minigun. You know, the Gauss minigun was competitive against the Snake, but it wasn't nowhere near to what it could get against Earl. It was like a 5-minute time with the Gauss minigun because you don't have the right mods to put on it for crit damage, and with the weapon speed, and to get the extra crit damage like you can with the Gatlin Plasma. So that is separated from its rival. And like I said, +2 endurance on your armor pieces is not bad. It's not really needed when you have the Vampire's weapon. The only place I've found it really needed is going against the Snake solo. The extra hit points does help out in case the bullet shield doesn't trigger, but I've used my +2 agility against the Snake and not had a problem plenty of times, but it seems like that +2 endurance, it's never failed me. But it is super powerful, and it's super fun, dude. I mean, you got max AP. I mean, it's fun in events when you're flying around with your jetpack with this type of build and flying around and shooting everything. Now, you're not immortal, like I said. You will die if you get staggered. You have to reload, so you have to time your reload to make sure you do got to stay moving whenever you're reloading. He will kill you. And if they stagger you, make sure you jump after they stagger you, so he don't shoot you and one-shot you with a spitball. But as long as you're hitting him with the weapon, you are immortal. As long as you're firing on him, he cannot hurt you. And you are shredding him. Under a 4-minute time with the Vampire's weapon makes it not just a top vampire weapon, it is a top weapon in Fallout 76 to be a boss killer. Vampire or no vampire. Here we go. He's about to go down, and see ya, Earl. Your bad breath self. Get out of here. Get out of here, Earl. So that is the number 2 boss killer. The Gatlin Plasma Vampire with the pinpointers on it. Now, let's show you. I just show you the build again real quick. You can pause it and look at it if you want to. Now we're going to get to the number 1 vampire boss killer. I'll show you real quick where to get it. If you don't got one, you can actually purchase it with atoms, if that ain't convenient enough. But if you don't have the atoms, then you can go do expeditions and do the grind and go to the White Springs Resort and go to the man right here. His name is Giuseppe, and that's how you can get the auto. Alright, here we go with the #1 boss killer is the Vampire's Auto Axe, 40 of power attack damage, plus 3 strength with pounders. You gotta have the pounders on your weapon. It is what separates it. Pounders makes it super powerful. So we're fully maxed out with torn armor with plus 2 strength on all our armor pieces. We also have plus 5 strength added onto our 15 strength from our legendary strength. You can see our strength was like 78. We also had a whiskey and a cycle buff going, and you can see our damage numbers on Mr. Earl, or once I don't get staggered, they get up to like 900. I mean, it's like 8 or 900. Here's a 700, 8, like 900. I mean, that's going super fast. I mean, that thing's hitting him so many times. It is shredding him in pieces. Like I said, with the other vampire weapons, you're not exactly immortal. If he staggers you, sometimes it's the auto axe is a spin-up weapon. That's one of its negatives. And it will act like it's not hitting him. You gotta press your block button and then go back and start hitting him again with the auto axe. Because if he staggers you and and it ain't hitting him, and he can one-shot you, so you can die. It is, but as long as you're hitting him, you are immortal and you are shredding him. One of the disadvantages of auto axe is that you do have to be that close. But one of the advantages is that it has great damage and it has fast weapon speed, so it's easily to stay alive close to your enemy when you have an auto axe. And when you put the plus 40 power attack damage, plus 3 strength, and the pounders effect on there, you get massive amount of damage like you're seeing. I mean, we're way over halfway. We're already 230. We're going to get him in under 3 minutes with the vampire weapon. I mean, that is good for any weapon, much less if the vampire is against Earl. Since the boss has got tankier and got more resistance and takes a lot more, the counter attack is that now we got 4 stars that we can add to our vampire weapons. That we can make them boss killers. We can get up close and personal, and we can utilize unyielding armor with its strength added to our strength with the plus 2 strength, max strength type of build, and be able to stay alive. It's definitely in a class even above the Gatlin Plasma when it comes just to pure damage. I mean, look, we're at 234 and we almost got him down. The Gatlin Plasma took 340, which is still a great time, but it's nowhere. It's almost a minute difference with the auto axe. The only disadvantage is its range. You have to be up close. You have to have a secondary weapon to kill some of the bosses, like the Scorch Beast Queen, to get her to land. But anything it touches, it dies. It manipulates, it shreds. It is a top vampire boss killer. Now let's see compare what a Furious with powders on it and the vampires against Storm Giants. Just want to compare and just show you how close the vampires with the pounders on it is with, let's say, the Furious with the pounders, which has the type of effect together with the Furious and the pounders working together. So it's not really what's the best auto axe type of video. We're just going to show these two. The Furious with pounders is one of the better effects. We'll get more damage than a vampires will. So we're going to be outside power armor with our vampires to maximize the potential of using a vampires is that you don't have to have power armor and you can maximize your strength to get the max damage out of it. You don't need a vampire if you're on power armor. There's no way you're going to survive this event outside power warmer without a vampire because of their electricity and the plasma grenades and things that they throw down and the floor. You'll be dead quickly. Look at that. Under 30 seconds, we kill that first boss, no problem. He shreds right through them. Now we got a Furious with 40% power attack damage plus 3 strings. Pounders on it. We got a full set of Overeater with plus 2 strength on our armor pieces. Union power armor, which for melee, in my opinion, is still a good power armor to use because you get the poison resist and the carry weight. But anyway, we'll still be fully maxed out for the power armor. We'll be taking the same type of buffs. Our strength to be as much as we can get being in power armor. Legendary 5 strength added to our 15 strength. See our strength is what? Pop of whiskey. That's why add to our strength. A 6 cycle buff. Adding to our strength. Get our strength up to like in the 60s in power armor, which is really good. Got electrical absorption to keep us alive on the build, and we'll start shredding him in pieces. All right, here we are. I mean, we are getting more damage, but I mean, it's pretty close going the same. I think we got staggered in the beginning, and then we wind up, just shredding right through him in under like 25 seconds. It was a few seconds faster. But how much faster? Let's look how powerful a vampire boss killer weapon is, the auto axe, compared to another legendary effect like Furious is getting more damage. But look, the vampires was ahead of it, and they're going neck to neck. The reason the vampires lose is it gets staggered at the end. Right there, it got staggered, so it lost its pounder's effect, and the Furious didn't. But it would have been even a little bit closer. I ain't saying it would have won, but they were neck to neck and even had it at a certain point. So, I mean, if you don't like playing power armor, then the vampires is definitely the way to go. It is just almost just as powerful as the Furious inside power armor. And that's the only way you can complete that event. But it definitely shows that the vampire's auto axe is more than just staying alive. It is that guy that you run from, boss killing weapon. All right, now let's get into it. We got all 5 of them stacked against each other, and we see who is going to be the king of the vampire weapons. And we kind of already know who's going to win, but this is just showing you, comparing them up, their damage against Earl, which is the most consistent test dummy that we have. They all can partake in him. I mean, we know the auto axe, and its damage, it's limited in range, but it's not outclassed in the amount of damage it can produce per hit with the speed that it has. With the right mods and the pounders on there, the vampire's auto axe is definitely their number 1. Limited by range, though. Number 2 coming in is Gatlin Plasma. Like I said, to me is the best overall. Look, it's keeping up with the auto axe pretty decently. I mean, it's making it competitive. In a way, it's going to beat it, but it is right there behind it. It ain't getting blown out. Winds up being a minute 50 seconds longer, so I guess that is a blowout, but not compared to like what the Gauss minigun's doing. But Gatlin Plasma to me is the best overall vampire boss killing weapon because it got range, it can take on any boss, it has everything you're looking for when you put with accelerated nozzle with the right mods on it, with weapon speed, ammo capacity, it's ammo efficient, and it shreds through enemies with pinpointers on there. So Gatlin Plasma comes in with a strong number 2, even though the Plasma Flamer and they went neck and neck. You can see them right now. There is a few seconds difference in their time. But being the Plasma Flamer comes in number 3, because it's limited in range and it didn't out DPS the gatlin plasma so much that like the auto axe did, and because it's limited range, that's why I put it at number 3. It is still a great boss killer, fun weapon to use, shreds through anything. But just like the auto axe, you're limited in what you can kill. You have to get something close to you in order to be able to shred it. So that's why it puts it at number 3. Number 4, the gatlin minigun gets there just because of what it can do against the snake. It has range, it has ammo capacity, but it's limited because it doesn't have the kind of mods that the gatlin plasma can put on there. And by its 5-minute time is what pushes it down to number 4. The holy fire, even though it gets a better time than the gatlin minigun, in my opinion, because it can't do range, it's limited in range too. Is why I put it at it's why it made number 5. But if the damage it can do against Earl and any other boss, it will shred, it will keep you alive. Any of these guns will smash any events and keep you alive and thriving in a wasteland. And when they do the next update, Full Health will have a version with the conductor to be able to get the AP regen, I believe. But there is an advantage to playing bloodied, and a lot of people that haven't played bloodied, I don't know if they're scared of it, but the vampires is the easy way to start playing bloodied. It'll keep you alive, and you'll have the max AP build, AP out to Kazoo, and you'll go lock in vats and shred your enemies and shred bosses. So there definitely still is an advantage to playing bloodied. You get more damage, and you can have a max AP build with a vampire's weapon that can even take on the hardest, the tankiest of bosses, or the most poison that they throw out at you, like this little snaky poo. We're not talking about these are just alright times. Some of these times they're top tier times. I mean, under 4 minutes, under 3-minute kills on Earl. That's super good. So they're not just a weapon that keeps you alive. They're a weapon that produces a mass amount of damage and keeps you alive at the same time. But I'd like to know your thoughts. Here in COD vampire weapons, you stick to the main prefixes, like aristocrats, anti-armor, bloodied. Do you see a point in it? Did you think vampire weapons can be that powerful? I'd like to know your thoughts. And this is Big Red. It's a fun way to play. I'll encourage you to check it out. And if you're interested, I'll put up more of a build video together. Just mention in the comments. And I hope y'all thrive and survive out there. And I'll see y'all in the next one.